So I'm sure everybody has seen it by now. The unbelievably god-awful Real Men ad for Kamala Harris, which has now been called the cringiest political ad ever. And I can say without a doubt that I absolutely agree. This is one of the worst things I think I've ever seen from a political campaign. And I got to be honest, I'm getting a little tired of the whole, white dudes for Kamala, motorcyclists for Kamala, farmers for Kamala. I'm getting a little tired of seeing this thing. I'm just waiting for their next one, which is going to be Soy Boys for Kamala. I'm sure that one will be being released anytime now. And in my opinion, these are the kind of things that you do when you know your campaign is pretty much, on the skids. Kamala Harris finally agreed to do an interview on Fox News. And, this is really going to be her make or break point for her campaign. And I really don't see Kamala getting any higher in the polls on anything. I think at this point now it is just strictly downhill for her. The honeymoon is over, and I think everybody's seeing her for what she really is, which is pretty much just an empty suit with pretty much without a brain. And so, but I'm sure, like I said, everybody has seen this ad by now, but I got to just talk about this for a minute because this is literally one of the worst things I've ever seen. And if you have not seen this ad, then enjoy this absolutely disgusting couple of minutes here, a minute and a half actually, of a bunch of actors. That is right. These are actors that were paid to do this, but they've got them all in the completely wrong settings, saying the completely wrong thing. And I got to be honest, I don't really see a whole lot of real men in it. So enjoy this, and we'll be back after this is over.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Goodwill Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful.
That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
So, like I said, this is absolutely one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. Obviously, these are paid actors to do this, to act like men. And the thing that really gets me the most is they got him so out of place. It's not funny. Let's take Joe Bob here right out of the beginning. This guy who's, 200 pounds overweight, let's be honest. And I've known a couple people who have farmed in my life because I'm assuming he's a farmer from the way they've got him set up. And these guys are actually in pretty damn good shape, as opposed to this guy here who is absolutely not in good shape. And I just really don't think if that was the message they were trying to portray, I really don't think they hit it out of the park with this one. I think they missed terribly. You got this guy here, I can deadlift 500 pounds. Well, yeah, so can my mom. Not too worried about that. I love this guy here. We got the Harley-looking guy, got the gray beard, the sleeves ripped off the shirt, the black shirt, ex-Hells Angels guy, working on a BMW. Yeah. He's working on a boxer BMW. So I think they kind of missed the boat here, Had this guy had an old Harley panhead, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, okay, kind of believable. But they got this old Harley guy, and he's working on his boxer BMW. Yeah, and I'm not saying that all BMW guys are that way, but I've known a few in my day. And let's just say they're a different breed. And then, of course, we got this guy right here. Let's see. Where's he at? Right here. Now, this guy just screams manly man to me. He's man enough.
Man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof.
He's man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon. Well, it takes a real a man to do that. So I guess all the women who drink barrel-proof bourbon, I guess they're men?
Bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to
Okay, this guy here, This guy's man enough to cook my steak rare. I got to tell you, buddy, you're sitting on your tailgate like you're doing something, but I'm not exactly sure what kind of steak you're talking about here. Because when I think of manly men grilling steak, this is not what comes to mind. I'm man enough to cook my steak rare. Yeah, I'm kind of missing this one on this guy right here. And this guy, I'm man enough to deadlift 500 pounds. You convinced me. I'm voting for Kamala. Voting for Kamala because you can lift 500 pounds. Ooh, my God, that's amazing. And then we get to this part here.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
And a 24-pack of donuts. Let's be honest. He eats carburetors for breakfast with a 24-pack of donuts. And then, of course, we go back to Mr. Rare Steak, even though, what kind of steak you talking about here, bro?
I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
And I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
Ooh, you got me, bud. You got me. Now, let's see. You weigh what, 90 pounds? Probably bench press 40 pounds? Curl 10 pounds? Actually, you're the kind of man that should be afraid of women. Because my wife will whip his ass. I'll tell you that right now. I guarantee you I can put my wife in the gym and she will outlift that guy. I guarantee it.
Women. I'm not afraid of women.
They
I'm
want to
not
control
afraid of
their
women.
bodies. I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
What? Who's afraid of families? Who cares if you use IVF? If this is supposed to be a stab at Donald Trump, well, you failed miserably because Donald Trump doesn't care if you use IVF. J.D. Vance doesn't care if you use IVF. I don't think anybody cares if you use IVF. And, I'm not afraid of families. Okay. Exactly what is the point you're trying to make here, soy boy?
Want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Okay, now this is the guy that likes to eat his rare steak, and now he's giving full-throated endorsements. I'm a little concerned about this one. I'm a little concerned. Next thing I know, this guy's going to show up on a Bud Light can, just like Dylan Mulvaney, sitting in a bathtub full of bubbles, wearing a girl's bikini. Yeah, I think this guy's on his way. I think he's going to be the next Bud Light spokesperson.
I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions. Yeah, dude, you are so manly. This is definitely an ad of men. And I got to tell you, if I was in charge of Kamala's media department, well, first off, I would fire whoever did this because this is absolutely terrible. Second off, I would actually put real men in the ad. I would not get a bunch of soy boy actors to play the parts of real men because that's what they're doing. They're playing the parts of real men because they're not real men.
Man enough to not ban young women from...
So apparently Joe Bob here is been reading Little Women because that's manly. And obviously he has because he's not man enough. He's man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women. So how does he know what Little Women's about unless he read Little Women? Hello?
Little women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters...
And again, Mr. Full-Throated Steak Eater is one of those pants books that the sisters like. Come on, bro. We all know you've read all the pants books. I don't even know what you're talking about, but you've read them. I can assure you that.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man
I'm
enough
man
to raw
enough to
dog
be
a flight.
emotional in front of my wife.
Ooh,
In front of my kids.
wow.
In front of my horse.
Amazing. He's man enough to cry in front of his horse. Well, what are you doing to your horse, bro, that's going to make you cry?
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Buddy, you cry at the sight of an empty bucket of KFC chicken. Okay? Let's be honest.
Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm
And they had to throw that one in. That and Predator. I cry at Predator. Oh, yeah, because you're such a man. You're such a real man.
so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful.
Yep.
That's not how my mama raised me.
No, your mama raised you as a bunch of women.
Love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
Absolutely terrible. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen. The only thing that is equally as bad as this, let me see if I can find this real quick. Let's see. Should have done this before I started this, but oh, here we go. Let's see if it shows this. Oh my God, this is too good. This is too good. Let's see here. Bada bing, bada bing. Okay, here we go. So Tim Walz, who carried a weapon of war in combat, carried a weapon of war. This is my shotgun I've had for years. I've had this shotgun my whole life. And we're going to go pheasant hunting. Is it pheasant hunting? Is that what they're doing? Because, that's what real men do is, we go pheasant. I used to, I remember my friends, they'd call me on the weekends. Hey, bro, we're going to go to the racetrack on our motorcycles. You want to go? And I'm like, hell no. Let's go pheasant hunting instead. And they're like, hell yeah, man. Pheasant hunting. So here we go again. This is another complete fail from the people who run Kamala Harris's media campaign, which is just absolutely, these are the worst people ever. So here's Tim Walz, who carried a weapon of war in a war that he never went to, so don't really know why he was carrying that weapon. Although he did make it to Italy to drink some lattes while the other boys were off in war. So let's see here. Tim whatever his name is, Tim Walz, who carried his war of weapon, who has his shotgun that he hunts with, who apparently doesn't know how to load the shotgun that he hunts with.
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This is a Beretta A400.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
And it never fits quite right.
Never fits quite right. Just not quite right. How do you give it back?
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This is a Beretta A400. I bought it when I was shooting a lot of trap because it has a kind of their patented thing, a kickoff. So when you get old, it doesn't hurt your shoulder as much.
Okay. Yeah, he bought it when he was shooting trap. Doesn't know how to load it. Not exactly sure how many times he shot it, but he bought it when he was shooting trap. And it's got this thing on the end, this patented thing, so it doesn't hurt my shoulder as bad when I shoot it. Got this patented thing, this thing on the end down here, whatever this thing is called. This thing on this gun. Is this a gun? Yes, this is a gun. It's got this thing on it. Kind of tells you all you need to know. Where are the men in Kamala Harris's campaign? There aren't any. And they wonder why men are leaving her campaign in droves. Because she has a campaign of soy boys. Girly men. That's right, girly men. Oh, can I do that in Scottish accent? Girly men. She's got a campaign of girly men. It's absolutely horrible. And they're wondering why they're losing the man vote. And the man vote is leaving them in absolute droves. They're pouring away from Kamala Harris. It's like she is a virus, and everybody's trying to get 6 feet away and make sure they mask up before they get around her so they don't catch the soy boy disease of the Kamala Harris campaign. And like I said, whoever's running her media campaign needs to be fired because they are literally doing the worst job I've ever seen on a media campaign. This is an absolute joke. This is why I call them the non-brains. They don't think. The people on the left are the non-brains. Whoever came up with the idea of doing this men for Kamala, that is a disaster. That is one of the worst political ad I've ever seen in my life. Then all of a sudden, we got Tampon Tim out here, little Timmy Walz, who's out here trying to load a gun that he's owned for years, but he doesn't quite know how to load the gun. Yeah, it all adds up.